Sokka, on the edge of becoming a practiced military commander, is given one final task. He must use what he's learned and his new meteorite sword to defeat the very man who taught him, Master Piandao. The result is this reluctant duel between master and student that teases just how far Sokka's come from the early days of the show. That's what great fight scenes bring to a show, and that's why we're gonna discuss all the most epic action in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
This battle comes in at number 1 because of the low stakes in the fight. Sure, Team Aang was lost in a swamp rumored to be haunted by spirits, but no one ever assumed this would be a cataclysmic battle. What I enjoy about this conflict is the mystery of the swamp monster. The fight ends up revealing the more complex aspects of bending and how diverse the ability can become over time. Not to mention, the audience is meant to believe this is yet another spirit agitated by the group. It would have been an exciting proposition, but the reveal is still cool. The Swamp Benders proved to be a great ally in later conflicts. Let's throw it back to simpler times. Aang just came out of ice and Prince Zuko is still a temper tantrum away from lighting Uncle Iroh's beard on fire. Under Zuko's direction, the Fire Nation invades the Southern Water Tribe's small village to take Aang and fulfill Zuko's duty. The conflict is short-lived. The whole thing literally lasts like an episode or so in length. It was the first time we saw Aang and Zuko battle each other. The fight helps prove Aang was a worthy adversary, and not just some kid with a flying buffalo. Counter to that, we saw the flaws in Zuko and the hidden truth that he's in over his head out there trying to capture the Avatar. I'm gonna be real with you for a second. I still don't know how I feel about Jet and his B character side arc. It's nice to see him change in this fight, but I still had a sour taste in my mouth from the first time we met him. Regardless, I enjoy the way he stands up to Zuko, and his sword choreography is brilliantly animated. Jet's final fight with Aang is a bit short, and that's something you can actually say about most of his conflicts. They end right as they get going. Still, there's a fluidity to Jet's motion like no other character that outside Zuko can replicate. He fights like a rebel with a cause. Watch this fight closely. Notice how much elasticity the animators gave Aang in this battle. The way he dodges this huge boulder is incredible to watch. Constraining Aang's flexible frame is King Bumi, who stands tall and fortified in his position. His expression hardly wavers. Even when he moves, he sinks into the earth and lets it carry him. The battle between Bumi and Aang was our first preview of a fully realized earthbender. It's incredible to watch Bumi mold and shape the surrounding arena to his whim. The duel's pace is brilliant, and you can feel the chess match going on between the two lifelong friends. The fact it's a time-sensitive battle is the cherry on top. Toph is one of the most unique concepts for a muscle character to ever grace television. She's proof that sometimes the smallest people can pack the biggest punch. I enjoy her wrestling matches and the way she swindles their crew. However, you don't get the full effect of Toph. I'd argue the real intro to Toph is when she takes on all 6 of the Earthbenders. I love the use of slow motion in this battle to highlight her tremor sense. It magnifies her talents and illustrates how much of a threat Toph is to anyone who crosses her. Toph's actions are so fluid, and the moment's chaos is entirely muted by her involvement.
Why don't you come up here so I can smack that grin off your face?
I'm not smiling.
Okay, let me address my biggest gripe with this fight right off the bat. I dislike the fact Katara never seems to be a match for Pakku in the slightest. Yes, she shows that she's worth training, but it's only because Pakku finds her necklace on the ground. Her abilities don't do the trick. The duel is realistic, and I can't deny that. Pakku is a member of the White Lotus, and Katara is just beginning her bending journey. I do enjoy that the moment quite literally forces Pakku to reflect on himself. Also, it highlights Katara's persistence and dedication to her own growth. You have to respect that even if Katara can't get a good shot in. The score for this battle is incredible. The moment Aang runs up the side of the wall, then boom! Boom! Right there! You guys, I get chills every time I see and hear it. What a moment. The build up to this Team Aang victory is so worth it too. It's one of the early rounds of successful planning by them, and that's notable. Watching Azula battle Aang here and lose gave us confidence as viewers. Maybe Azula wasn't all she was cracked up to be when all is said and done. Obviously, a later entry will disprove this fact. Still, it was fantastic to see the whole group work together to stop a literal juggernaut. The concept of boiling rock works really well as a plot point, building up to the final storyline. At this point, the Fire Nation is near the height of its power, and Zuko is helpless. The big plot to dismantle the capital failed, and boiling rock symbolizes all the moment's despair and hopelessness. The battle is simply the actual boiling point in the narrative. Azula fights with confidence we've never seen before, and that's saying something. This time, the pride comes back to bite her, and she ends up betrayed by her allies. The thing I like most about this drawn-out fight scene is the way it highlights Mei and Suki, two love interests that also happen to be total badasses. I love the fact this whole plan is orchestrated by Sokka and well executed to a certain point. In the entire lifespan of the 100-Year War, no other nation dared to invade the Fire Nation. Only Sokka had the guts to pull this one off and use the knowledge he had at the ready to do it. The only issue is the fact he's going up against sneaky Azula. So many microfights happen within this battle that are all worth mentioning. Zuko defects from his homeland and Sokka tries to battle Azula. There's a moment there where you actually think Sokka might lose everything in a fit of rage. So many significant revelations spur from the multi-nation attack and make it a battle worth remembering. Zuko was a bit all over the place early on in Book 1. He's caught between his own expectations of who he wants to be and what he's actually capable of at the time. Meanwhile, he's being embarrassed every day by this jerk. Hence, the first Agni Kai of the show. It starts off rough for Zuko, and without a word being spoken, we can tell that Zhao wasn't trying too hard here. Finally, Uncle Iroh tells him to remember the basics. The message gets to Zuko, and he prevails. I rank this fight so high because it highlights how vital Iroh is to Zuko and the message of this moment. Take what you can handle when you feel overwhelmed. Uncle Iroh fulfills his destiny and invades Ba Sing Se just like we knew he always would someday. The liberation of Ba Sing Se is definitely high on my scale of epicness. Watching these 5 men work together to upstage an entire army is poetry in motion. Watch Zhang shield the group from those tanks and toss them away like a toddler throwing a tantrum. It's brilliant! The way Pakku and Pian Dao control the ground forces is enough to get you giddy with excitement. Still, nothing matches the might and weight of Uncle Iroh and King Bumi tossing their weight around the battlefield like it's another day in the park. Always respect the White Lotus. The Fire Nation's invasion during the full moon is a huge tactical error. The loss is even further felt when Zuko and Iroh become fugitives. The first book comes to a close with a critical victory for Team Avatar. Plus, there are many moments in this battle that come to mind when I think of the word epic. Katara battling Zuko is definitely up there. The way Katara musters up enough power to hold Zuko back is worth admiring. Then, the ocean spirit and Aang in his Avatar state turning the tide pulls this battle to a whole other scale. It's the first extensive action set we get in the show, and it's worth it. We're entering super heavy plot moments territory with these last couple entries. I don't even know where to begin with in this one. Ba Sing Se's fall is incredibly written, but no moment affects me quite like this decision by Zuko. He's given his crossroads moment, and every fiber of my body wants him to go with Uncle Iroh, yet he doesn't do it! Then, this standoff between Katara and Azula just blows any fight before it way out of the water. You feel every action in this battle, and every decision feels impactful. Of course, lightning strikes in this fight, and every single viewer at that moment stood there in disbelief. What a way to end the season. Look at that. That's a fully realized Avatar standing up to Fire Lord Ozai during the Great Comet. And he's losing? Oh gosh, does Aang not win this fight? Yeah, that was a peek into what it was like for anyone who watched the season finale with me. Let's just say I panicked. The Battle of Wulong Forest lives up to the hype it got for 3 seasons, and I enjoy the pain the writers went through to make every member of Team Aang relevant to the conflict. Not to mention the fact that Aang finishes off Ozai by taking away his abilities to bend fire. It all wraps up so nicely, and that's why it gets top billing. I love the final battle with Aang and Fire Lord Ozai, but I respect the hell out of the masterpiece that is the Agni Kai between Zuko and Azula. The moment builds up at a steady tempo, and it never forgets its place in the storyline. Azula fights like an unhinged maniac, and Zuko takes on all the characteristics instilled in him through Iroh. They're such perfect foils at this point. The use of light and color composition amplifies every flame in the battle. When Zuko takes this bolt of lightning to save Katara, you feel it. Then Katara fighting for her own life raises the stakes even further. All the action and outcomes in this fight feel perfectly timed and brilliantly conceived. I'd watch this scene all day if I could! There are plenty of entries I wish I could fit in here that didn't make it. Like Katara's fight with Hama? These two waterbenders fighting is incredible to watch, but the blood bending at the end truly raises the stakes. Go back and watch Zuko's reaction. That's a man who just discovered there is darkness in every type of bending, and it strikes fear in his heart.